Coming up, we have a chairman update with me, Guy Deca. Then on part one, I talked to Stephen Bodle about the state of affairs at Wakefield AFC. And then on part two, I'll talk to Rodrigo Storti. Rodrigo is a board member, part owner of Wakefield FC. It's a fun chat. We talked to him about his love for Wakefield FC, his crazy travel plans to follow the club. It's a fun first episode coming up next. Hello. Welcome to the Falcons Nest, Wakefield AFC official podcast. This is the chairman's update with me, Guy Deca, chairman of Wakefield FC. And now the first question is why a 10 division team has a podcast, right? Does it make sense? I don't know, probably not. But why are we doing? Because we want to get the information to our fans as quickly as possible. We get a lot of comments on social media or emails saying, communication is not clear. What's happening here? What's happening there? And this is the easiest way to get information to you, Wakefield AFC fan. And the objective of this podcast is provide insights about what's going on in the club, but also interview people from outside the club so people understand what we're about and how we're partner up with rugby clubs, with businesses, with the council to achieve things for Wakefield FC. So hopefully you find it valuable. You should keep listening to Cy and Rich because what they cover there on the Wake and we won't cover here for obvious reasons. They can comment about the game. We won't comment about the game because sometimes we have to be critical about performance, especially Steven, and we're never going to do that in public for obvious reasons. So, and sometimes we want to direct praise. We don't want to direct praise at ourselves. It's poor form, right? So we're not going to cover games. So if you want to hear about the game from the previous week, you should absolutely go there. We'll be doing this maybe twice a month, maybe once a month. Send your feedback to secretary at wakefieldfc.co.uk. I don't have social media. I have no idea what happened in social media. So if you have any comment about, or just say, hey, great initiative. No, I didn't like it. I want to be part of it. Suggestions, you want to partner up your business here, anything you want to send to the secretary email. And we're also interviewing for the position of host. We want a host for part one. Part two is always someone from outside the day-to-day of the club. Part one is Steve and I. Would like to have a host. Steve and I did this episode. I think it was all right. I think we did okay for two people that never work in media, never done that before, but we probably need someone to do that. This individual needs three things. Be enthusiastic. We need you energetic. We need you excited about the club. The second thing we need from you is that you need to know what's going on. You need to be watching games. Again, if you cannot go to games, no big deal. We can send you the video. We can help you prep. And the third thing, because this is a small operation, this episode is going to be edited by Adam and I, recorded and edited by Adam and I. So you need to be able to record your own content, edit, and produce it. So if you have this, you're enthusiastic, want a career in media or an experience, or just want to get involved with Wakefield FC, you love the club, and you're well-versed in editing, producing, etc., send your, again, application to secretary at wakefieldafc.co.uk. So now, on to the chairman update. The most important thing, obviously, facilities. Guys, look, I think for the first time, we're moving forward. I see a line in the end of the tunnel. So what do we have at the moment? We have a head of terms agreed with the council. What is a head of terms? Is commercial conditions for a specific location in Wakefield. That seems that we're on the same page. We don't have a lease agreement signed, not even closed. We're not even discussing the draft yet. What happens now is step by step, head of terms agreed. We're starting a pre-application process in January. That's going to take 45 to 60 days. We'll get feedback from that. Then we put an actual application in, and that takes another 90 to 120 days. So if it gets approved, it's going to get approved in the summer. We'll start construction right after. Do we feel it's going to get approved? We don't know. A lot of things can go wrong, and the most important thing is support from the community. Now, I do believe that needs to be approved, and there's no reason to reject it. Why? Because is privately funded. Ultimately, sporting facilities when not full time. These facilities can be used during the day by the other clubs, by the junior clubs, by the college, by schools. So, and it's all privately funded. That's really important to us. Wakefield taxpayers' money should go to schools, should go to parks, should go to the police, should go to hospitals. It shouldn't come to us that are owned by private individuals, right? So it's privately funded, benefit for the community. It should happen, but it might not happen, might never happen. But we feel good about where we are. And we will announce something once the pre-application process is completed. So it's around 60 days from now. We'll be ready to announce that to our fans. Well, goes without saying, without that, the club won't survive long term. We need a base. We need to be able to expand our juniors. We need to be able to host our friendly games and bring a little revenue to the club. And we need a spiritual base. We need to have a place like we just rent things. We need to have a place where you identify with the club, that we identify as our location. So again, early days, but finally some real progress. Other things I want to cover, not as exciting as this one, definitely. But we got a fine, a 200-pound fine, because of the three players that got sent off and all the hustle and bustle that happened during the game against Barnoldswick. Is a 200-pound fine. We lost three players for 3 games. It's this type of thing that cannot happen. Stephen is addressing that. Obviously, it was unfortunate. Do we think we deserve 3 guys sent off? I don't think so, but it is what it is. It happened, and we got a fine on top of everything. So obviously, something that we should try to avoid for obvious reasons. More important, we're waiting for a hearing from the FA about an incident. I cannot comment too much about it. That happened on an away game where one of our fans directed abuse at the staff from the other club. We're finalizing the investigation. There's a lot of witnesses that confirm that it actually happened, which is very important. It's sad, really. We try to educate our fans, like, look, to push the team, and even some banter is part of football. Is why we all like it. You should never direct personal abuse to anyone. What are we doing? Again, we want to get all the facts, but it looks like we not only it happened, but that's going to come with a hefty fine of 800 pounds to the club. It is not only the money, because that's a lot of money for this level of football. It is a ridiculous amount of money for this level of football, but it's the image of the club. Like, what are we doing? Like, this type of thing should never happen. Again, we're finalizing the investigation. We'll have a statement after we get all the facts. We'll also take some actions on the back of it, but ultimately we shouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot. Like, it's when you're out there, you represent your Wakefield FC, you represent your community. And again, is like with everything, 99% of the people, 98% of the people are absolutely fantastic. That's why I don't have social media. I hate it. There's a lot of good things, but there's always a few that ruin everything for everyone. So and it's like that. Unfortunately, a lot of situations in life, that's what happens. But we try to educate people. Let's see what happens. It's really unfortunate that it happened in the first place, but we'll come out with a few solutions. We're really disappointed with what we've heard so far. A couple other updates. Newsletter coming out. You've seen it on social media. Adam has put it out. Like, subscribe to our newsletter. You help yourself because you get information about the club. You get information about promotions, updates about the club, and other things. But you help us. We need to know your email, where you're based, and things like that. We need to build a database. That's great for our sponsors, great for us. We can send you promotions when before we sell gear. You can get early access, sale. season tickets announcements and all these things. We're going to get a lot of stuff in the newsletter. So please subscribe. You help yourself and you help us at the same time. And finally, most importantly, the 28th, pay as you feel against Harrogate. We need you there. And if attendance have been down, I understand. Look, it's tough. Cost of living. There's a lot of end of the year parties. You're buying presents for other people. Everyone is a little short on money. I get it. It's cold. You don't necessarily want to spend on a football match. There's a lot of football on TV. That's why it's pay as you feel. We don't want your money. We just want you there supporting the boys. That's our kind of our Christmas, New Year celebration between the fans and the players. The players will love to see you there. Stephen and Lee will love, and Niam will love to see you there. Say hi to Emma. And again, invite your kids' friends from school to go. It's all free anyway, and their parents and people from work. Again, it's pay as you feel. If you can donate something to cover the cost of that game, great. If you can, it's all good too. Just enjoy it. With that, and my first chairman's update, a word from our sponsors, and then we go with Stephen and part one of today's episode. Thanks for the listen, and see you guys soon.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Capricorn Projects, a plumbing and heating company founded in 2021 by Leigh and Jack. From large commercial builds to small residential repairs, these guys are the experts you can trust. They've been fantastic supporters of Wakefield AFC and are always ready to go the extra mile for our fans. For more information, email info@capricornonline.co.uk or find them on social media. Be sure to mention you're a Wakefield AFC supporter. They'll take great care of you. A big thank you to Capricorn Projects for their incredible support. Now let's get into today's episode.
Hello, welcome to part one of Wakefield FC podcast. So far it's called Falcons Nest. We're receiving feedback from fans and suggestions. Let's see if that's the final name, but that's the name for today. For part one, we have Stephen Bodle. Welcome, Stephen.
Yeah, hi, Decker. How's things?
Oh, good. How are you doing? How's the family? Anything planned for the holidays?
Yeah, so it's last week. I break up this week for Christmas for 10 days on Friday. And then Christmas will be a real local one. Mums and dads and Kelly's mums and dads and brothers and sisters. And we'll do some moving around from one family to another. We split it up. And then a bit of football bang in the middle of there. Watch some games on Boxing Day. It's always a great day in England for the football on Boxing Day. Bit of NFL actually on Christmas Day. A couple of games for us on Christmas Day that I'll watch. And then we bounce into our game, the big game with Harrogate on the 28th. So really busy, really festive, good to see the family, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, there's some good NFL games on Christmas this year. I think they're going to get a lot of, it's on Netflix also, so I think they're going to break every record.
Kansas City are playing, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and is it Houston are playing? So yeah, some good games for us in the evening. It's great for us so that we can get them games watched. We can have a beer and fill us bellies a little bit in the day, and then watch 6-7 hours of NFL. So it's good. I enjoy the game. Yeah, no, it's different to our football, but there's a lot of things, a lot of elements you can bring. And I know I've spoken to you in the past about it. I'll not bore everyone else who's not bothered, but yeah, no, it's I love the sport really. I'm a big Patriots fan, Bill Belichick, and somebody that I really admire. So yeah, no, it's all good stuff.
That's great. Yeah, that's something that the fans don't know. That you're an NFL fan. I'm a big football fan, NFL fan. Football is my first sport, but I love NFL. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. They don't do the. I became a fan when they were winning things in the early '90s, and I thought it would last and never won anything ever again. But that's how my son, because he grew up in Connecticut in New England. So he's a Patriots fan. So he got the good years with Brady. So yeah,
Brady,
so that's
not so good at the minute.
Okay, so let's get down to it. So one thing we want to cover here, we're not pros. This is just a chat and try to get as much information as possible to our fans. Monday, we know I have anxiety when I open my WhatsApp on Monday morning. You probably get the same. We always get 7-day notice from other clubs on Monday morning. It's guaranteed we're going to open the phone and someone is coming for our players. So we thought about it, me and you, Riley. We had a chat. We opened that to the fans, and I think we should. I think that the fans would like to know
Absolutely.
and want to know the inner workings of the club. So I'll pass it over to you. We have 7 days from other clubs to us currently open. Sheffield FC to Aaron Pilkington and Holland to Curtis that just joined, played a game and a half for us. I know you talked to these boys. The fans will want to know where's their head at? Are they staying? Are they going? What is the situation at the moment?
Yeah, so situation is that it's a recurring theme. Every Monday we get a couple of 7 days in, and it is tough to manage. But just on the two guys, we spoke to the two guys a couple of times this week, and they've turned down the initial offers with both Hallam and Sheffield FC. They want to stay. They want to be in and around us, which is good. Obviously, things can change minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day in terms of if a different offer comes in terms of terms and expenses. But the guys are really looking forward to staying with us. Aaron's really starting to feel part of the club now. We had training on Tuesday night, and you can see he's coming out of himself a little bit more. Curtis has got that air of confidence about him, has been a bit more established, a bit older, and Curtis is enjoying it. You know, he wants to get on the ball, enjoyed it with his first home debut on Saturday and meeting the fans, and he said it made him feel as though the club automatically has that aura of a step 3 sort of club in terms of fan base, and he was asked for his picture and all that sort of stuff. So he's enjoying it. Look, things can change overnight, but as we sit here talking, Decker, both lads have committed to ourselves at Wakefield, which is positive news, because we're not talking about another step 6 club. We're talking about the biggest club at step 5 in terms of Hallam locally, you know, great fan base, great backing. And then you're talking about the oldest club in the world, which carries a lot of credibility when you sign for them and you play for them. So for both of our guys to understand what we want to do and our targets this year and the next few years, it's good for us that we can retain that quality. So I'm made up. I'm buzzing. The two good guys. They're fitting well. So the fans should be relatively or really happy that they've both committed to us. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look, I think a little piece of education here for some of the fans. I think some fans became Wakefield FC fans and they were already following known league, so they know how it works. But there are some of our fans that started following known league because of Wakefield FC. And I think one thing is important to cover is that, why we lose these players and stuff like that, right? One thing that you said the other day, Stephen, and you can comment on it, that's very true, is that 95% of our players are step 4 players already, right? Which is absolutely true. The second thing is we sign good players and we play an attractive brand of football. We score a lot. We play on the front foot. And step 4 clubs, they look at us because they know that we have good players. And we're 2 divisions below. So we're an easy target from that perspective. And sometimes we hear comments from fans like, oh, why don't you keep X, Y, and Z, right? Like a Q or wherever. It's not that we don't want to keep them. The club has the best facilities. Emma and Ian, fantastic player care, personnel care. You and Lee, talk to these boys in training, over the phone, give them all the attention. I'm always available. Facilities are great. Fans are fantastic. But I think one thing you can comment on is when you play for step 4, even if you go into a club that is worse than Wakefield FC, the reality is that, let's say you're a midfielder and you have 20 assists for Wakefield FC, you're not getting a contract from National League North because they're going to look at it and say, yeah, but it's step 6. Anyone could do that. If you can do the same playing for step 4, even though the club might be in theory, quote unquote, smaller, if you have 20 assists or 20 goals in step 4, you might get a contract from step 3 or step 2 potentially in National League North that is life-changing for these boys. So it's totally understandable that they go pursue that. So for the fans to understand, obviously, what would be the difference in money, right? If you go to step 4 and then you do really well and you get an offer from step 2 or 3, what you're talking about in terms of money per week and how important that is for the boys that are playing football at this level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it can be, you sometimes hear sayings like, it's life changing, and I think that might be a little bit of a stretch. But the fact about it is, it's massively important for these guys in terms of it can alter their lives. So, you can go and play for a step 2 club and be picking up well over £1,000 for a young good player with potential, and then you can that can really significantly jump up to 1,500, 1,800, and then when you start to get really established, you could be on £2,000. I mean, that's the way that the game's going. So when you take into consideration probably, the average step 6 player across the league's probably at 60, 70, the best players are picking up probably well in 100 and a little bit north of that figure as well. It's good money. Step 6, you can pick up good money, and it's it's good for the guys. But the minute you step to step 4 and you can start to produce and you start to play on the bigger stages, then these step 2 clubs will come looking at you, and pro clubs will come looking at you, and that's the big jump. From step 4 to step 2, and then into the pro game. You are starting to talk about it really taking a big leap in terms of how you live your life and the finance that it can help bring into your household. So yeah, it's massive and it's difficult, and the lads understand that, and we understand that. You understand that, we understand that. We try and not stand in the way as long as the club that comes as players has done it in the right fashion and the right way. Then we want to pass on our lads and wish them all the luck. We've lost some good players, notably Akil went to Brighouse. We tried to do a deal with Akil and keep him at the club, but fundamentally is the advice that he was given that he wanted to step up to step 2 and step 3, and the advice he was given that go and do it at step 4, prove yourself, and you'll get the rewards financially, and that's the decision he's made, and I totally appreciate that. But yeah, it can be massive for Ndeka. You can go from 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, maybe a little bit more at step 6. And then, if you really hit the ground running, it's not, north of £600-700 pretty easily. And then you're moving into the thousands when you start to really become established and start to produce week in, week out. So it is a massive jump. It can alter your life, and fair play to the lads that are doing it.
Yeah. Look, yeah. And we, as a club, historically, we try to advise these guys and try to help them as much as we can. Because for me, like, I'm going to give you an example. Before your time, there was Georgian Halliwell, that was pro for Barnsley, played for us and wanted to move up. And and he had offers from clubs. And I'm like, no, wait for the right one and go for a club that will put you in a position to succeed. Look, I'm not going to say bad things about any clubs, but a lot of these guys, they make a bet sometimes in clubs that they're just signing players and throwing darts at a wall. They don't have any plan to develop you. They're going to be there to be abused by a manager, or by a manager just looking to save their job because they're want to fight relegation or something like that. And on the other hand, you have really good clubs in step 4, like Cleethorpes, and they have well budget, they have good facilities, they have good managers, and these are the clubs that you should be looking for. And there's some that they're selling you the dream, but they're not doing anything to help you get that dream. So that's why we try to show the boys. But ultimately, we never stop anyone from leaving. We try to make deals when we think it makes sense for us and we think we can afford, and we think we don't have a replacement, immediate replacement. But ultimately, if the player is going to leave, they will leave. One thing that you can also mention, Steve, and that I do a little bit of it, you do that too now with Lee, is we always have a plan. We have a scouting database. I have some players that I scouted in the past. You have a lot of players that we always have plans from when we lose people. Ultimately, we don't want to lose anyone. But if we do, right, like you have, I know because I get that from you. Hey, if you miss that guy, I have these and these that we could go for and stuff like that. And that's part of football at this level, because there's not a lot of contracts. You lose players,
it's a massive part. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, bang on in terms of what you're saying. We've spoke on many occasions in terms of, okay, interest on this player, but even the players that currently we haven't got interest in, we've always got, we'll have the starting 11, and then we have the 16, and then we have a 19, and then we have 20 players that if we lost a Brad McGowan, where would be a likewise player for Brad McGowan available to us? What budget would that look like? What options do we have? So we always have a backup plan. So if we were to get 7 days in and then the player decides after 7 days or gives us the heads up that I will be leaving, then we've got 3 or 4 days to put that plan into action. And we've done that on numerous occasions this year. Now, you're not always guaranteed to get the player. A lot of the fans have been mentioning names of certain individuals that they'd like to bring into the club, but it's not an easy process. There is a lot of money that's flying around at Step 6, especially in sort of the top 10 teams in this league and the top 10 teams in United Counties. And so it's never easy. However, we like to have a plan. We like to have a backup. No, it's not always going to work, but we find that over the last sort of 18 months, Sharbrook, Clay Cross, and now at Wakefield, and again, it's stepped up, with the contacts that you've had. And obviously, we had the scout just when we joined. So we've got those contacts in place. We've got we've got databases, and I know probably a lot of people may be listening and are rolling their eyes at databases at Step 6. But if you want to act like a Step 4, we want to play like a Step 4 team and Step 3. So we want to make sure that when we do eventually get to Step 4 and to Step 3, it's not new. It's something that we've had in place. We've had a strategy. We stick to that strategy, and it might be a little bit too soon for majority of Step 6 clubs, but the beauty of Wakefield is that's where we want to be. So we're going to act like that, and we're going to carry our business out like that. So yeah, there's always a plan.
Yeah. And one thing that is important for fans to know is that, and as you say, like, oh, database and these and roll your eyes, but it's part of being organized. Is like, I have a full-time job, you have a full-time job. The more organized we are, the more efficient we are to do things. So what fans don't know is that you and Lee, you go to watch other games, you get people to go watch other games. And sometimes there's a guy that you want, but if you're not doing the work regularly, you don't know if he's available tomorrow or not, right? You know that he's a good footballer, but is he playing? Is he starting? Is he playing well? Is he not playing well? What formation are they playing? Do we think he's happy playing that formation? That's a lot of information that you and Lee get that help us then say, hey, this guy we could go for, but there's no way he's going to come at this point. Or this guy we could go for, but there's a chance we can get him. And there's a lot of this work that we do in the background that we try to be organized. First, because it's every time you get it wrong, you take a step back. And we got it wrong, God knows, a lot of times. But it's also a question of organizing our days and the football round, because it's still Step 6. We do things professionally, but we also have resource constraints like every other club. So yeah. It is what it is. And I think you guys brought a lot to the table in terms of context and scouting other teams and going to other games and see, exactly what's going on.
Yeah. We know the league well.
For us to act.
Absolutely. We know the league well. We've been in it a number of years now. A lot of the players are very similar. What I would say is my assistant, or one of the assistants, Lee, who's been with me now for a number of years, Lee's fantastic at that. He's got his finger on the pulse. He knows a lot of people. I live in Mansfield, and Lee's he lives in Rotherham around Sheffield. So a lot of these guys are in that sort of catchment area. Lee's works at a college that's had these lads go through the college system with him. He's got very close friends with Chesterfield Football Club. So, in terms of, we say he's busy. Sometimes he's a little bit too busy for me. He wants to talk to me at 7 a.m, 8 a.m, 9 a.m, midday. But that's the beauty of Lee. So, every relationship has its strong points. I do certain things and Lee does certain things, but Lee's really proactive on the player front. He's always happy to pick a conversation up. He'll stick his neck on the line for certain things, and he's busy, and that's the beauty of Lee. And Lee's really the strong one when it comes to looking at recruitment. I'll then pick up majority after, unless it's somebody I know. But I'd say 7 times out of 10, Lee's leading that in terms of recruitment for us.
Yeah, no, Lee's a great guy. He's a fantastic guy. He's really enthusiastic, and it's lovely to have him around the club. Now, moving on to 8 wins on a bounce, two with Ian, and then you guys came in. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the team, and there's a new manager bounce effect. I do have my opinion that this team is for real. But what's your view in terms of, okay, uh, we're 80% there, we're 90% there, we're 70% there, or where you want it to be, and what do you expect next for the next run of games?
What I would say is, I think first and foremost, if any players are listening, it's players win games and managers lose them, and that's something I'll always believe in. What I would say is the lads have been bang on. We have gone through. I think some of the fans, notably picked up very early that we were having a transition stage, and they backed us and they stayed with us. Some asked questions. We lost a lot of good lads in terms of guys that's been at Wakefield for a number of years. But to put our mark on it, and you backed us and the club backed us in doing so. We brought some good people in. Look, are we for real? I think we're for real. I think we're a good side. We can be beaten by anybody, but we can also go to anywhere and win. And I think we've shown a great consistency. And again, roll eyes time, but a lot of the XG stuff, you look at it, goals for, goals against, chances for, chances against. And it's been a real flip, but that's the players buying into what we're asking them. It's pretty straightforward. We're quite simplistic. We don't ask for too much. We like a certain shape, but we have a lot of flexibility with that. But we've got good players, and good players win games of football. They're all sort of energized by the change. They're seeing the results, and if you can get results, then you can bring people along for the ride. And at the minute, we're in a good spot. So we're ahead of the curve where we thought we would be. Ian picked that up. I know you and Ian, previous to us coming in, discussed different shapes and try to really have a basic plan and make the most of that and let the guys take over, the players take over. And you had a couple of good wins before we joined, and we've been lucky enough to be able to carry that run on. And we've had testing times. We've had difficult games, and games against teams that you would think we would do better at. The Thorn result last minute, but the league's a tough league. It is the toughest Step 6 league in the country. There is no doubt about that. You see how well Step 6 teams do in the FA Vars, and against other teams in friendlies or cup games. This is the league for Step 6. It's always been tough. But yeah, we're a good side. We've got good people in every position. We've got when the guys come back from suspension, Kiani and people like that, we've got some real talent in terms of the squad. So yeah, we're really happy, Decker. We fancy his chances. Some teams around us are dropping points. But that means nothing. And every game is a cup final for us moving forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. That's one thing that we share in common, that I think was one of the defining factors when we're interviewing candidates, is we always look at it as one game at a time. But like I'm not saying that just to be cute. I have no idea what's the table right now, if we're in third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. For me, it's the only game that matters is Glasshoughton, and then the only game that matters is Harrogate, and then the only game that matters is Horbury, and then so on and so forth. It's a difficult league. Like Glasshoughton away, it's a tough game. They beat us at home, a game that we didn't do anything in the second half, but nothing. So they deserve that win. Tough game away. But I do think that if I compare, because like older Wakefield fans will remember that we had a run of 12 or 13 games unbeaten last season. I think that I'm going to say it's better, but it's a much more balanced team. We have much better goalkeeping than we had last season. The center backs are great on the air, great at set pieces. Probably the best midfield in the league and the league above. I would say the three of them, good wingers. Now I have Shea coming, and he's a new striker. He's gonna find his place. Good bench. So I think it's well balanced. We're very well set up last season to play at home with space. We're really fast with Seb as a false nine and Ollie and stuff like that. We could move the ball. The pitch was great. Now it's different. It's a more known league team. It's a team that is more prepared. And that's thanks to you and Lee that brought in this mentality. You made these tweaks that made us more resilient, if I would say.
Yeah.
I think the team is more resilient, is stronger mentally, is better on set pieces. That is really good. And you guys have been great at coaching set pieces and getting them ready. So we feel good. And speaking of that, like you mentioned briefly, Kiani, Elwin, JT is one more game. They're integrated back into the squad. How do you feel that happening?
No,
They're training. That's how's that going?
Yeah, the guys are training. It's felt like a longer time. Obviously, we've got a couple of postponements in there, which has delayed it. These guys coming back. The good guys are training well. JT's, training Tuesday, leading the guys, making sure standards are good. Everyone's got the traits, and JT's like that. Kiani brings unbelievable quality, pace. He's dynamic. He can score goals. And when you start to look at us in terms of, you've got Seblos, Kiani now coming back in. You've got, Mo and Jaden in that midfield creating, how dynamic they are. Brooksy out on the left. Now we've got Curtis. We brought Shea in. It gives us some real fluidity. We've got options on the bench to change the game. You turn around, you look at the bench, and you can see what we've got. We've got Ken's in there that can play, 10 positions, and none of them exactly the same. So your benches, when he's starting to come into the winter, they can get you the wins. It's not always the starting 11, and we've got real quality throughout the side now. So we're really happy, but we are really happy to get the three guys back in the next couple of weeks. So now that's going to be good, and hopefully they'll be bang ready for the Horbury game, which is obviously a massive game for us. But first and foremost, to your point, we've got two bigger games in terms of what's coming up next, and whatever game is next is the biggest one. So got to take care of business in the next couple of weeks, and then see where we're at when we play Horbury.
Yeah. Well, one thing that for Wakefield historians will know that, like Sai will correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, Harrogate that we're playing is probably our nemesis on the NCL. We played them 5 times. If I'm not mistaken, we lost 4 and won 1. So it's a game that I probably we all probably would like to see a win. Is our nemesis in the NCL for one reason or another. Something always happens, and we don't do that well against them. But look, we as a club, I think just my message to the fans, like we're in the business. We want the right people in the right spots and give them the support to execute their jobs. Right now, we have 2 great guys in Lee and Steven. Ian that works with them. Everybody knows Ian. Ian is phenomenal. He does a lot of the admin around football and also helps on training sessions. Phenomenal. Emma goes without saying. Absolutely star. Gav organizing the junior teams. Our social media with Adam is as good as you're ever going to find. The team has a physio. No teams at this level have a physio coming to training twice a week and coming to the game. A real physio, not someone for a massage. And we'll try to do our best. Look, last week the game got canceled. We paid everyone, right? Like we had 3 players texting me saying, hey, thanks for paying us, because if it was at my old club, I will never get paid. They'll use that as an excuse to not pay us. That's not how we do things here. We're trying to give them all the support they need, and you guys. But I think that the team now, it's all the correct people are in the correct spots. Now you just need to, each one of you and me on my end will do my part, and you guys gonna do your part, and etc. Feel good about where we are since we're going to the Christmas season, your holiday season, a little reflection about the club and where we are. I think we're in a good spot in terms of the people that we have, both on the football side, off football, and the way that the club is organized. I feel good about where we are at the moment.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm, it really settled, and it's been good that we've built up a good relationship from the get go, a really trusting relationship. We'll say how we feel, and we'll work from there, which is good. But obviously, Lee's been with me a number of years now, so me and Lee are really comfortable with each other. Ian has been a godsend. We were looking, are we going to bring someone else in? Ian had done a great job in the 2 games, and I'd looked at a few games before, and I could hear Ian on the VO as the main communicator, and he's got that passion, and he's Wakefield through and through. So why would we not utilize that? But he's also blown me away. Really good on the training ground, really good with the VO. He's been cutting the clips down, and again, all the time we're sending a message to the guys in terms of we want to prepare right, we want to make sure that we're doing things correctly, and Ian helps that. He's been spot on. Emma's unbelievable. Really busy. I know you talked to her. I talked to her. She's stuck in the middle somewhere along the line, but she's fantastic, and everyone at the ground is. And touching on physio. I've had good budgets. I had good budget at Shirebrook. Chairman really backed us. The owner backed us there. Got a good budget this year again with the owner backed us. But the little things that make a difference are, we've got a fully qualified physio. And when you do get injured, Tuesday night he's there and he's doing private sessions with the guys who are injured. But he's also sending them, emailing them, a fitness plan, stretch plan, when you should be doing it, how long you should be doing it for. It's just professional. So, we train twice a week. The Thursday night is not really a training session, so to speak. It's more of a gathering, but done at Nuffield in Wakefield. So we get the gym use. So some guys who need a bit more fitness, who've not been playing, they'll be made to do a bit of a fitness session, and then it's rest and recuperate and recover, gym, sauna, pool, and a socialise before we all head home, and that's good. And these things, are difference makers. And in terms of your line of work, in a professional circumstances, and us as a football team, we're all looking for them 1%ers, and maybe that 1% got that final goal at Thorn at home that got us the 3 points. So no stone unturned. We're always looking at improving. Do we now start looking at maybe for next year or for this year? Do we look at food prep before games? And I know you're always thinking of things to do and move the club forward. But it's good. It's a top club. The fans are great. Little chance for individual players. That's first I've ever heard of that. Couple maybe at Ollerton years and years ago. They used to have the odd chant, but no, it's good stuff, and everyone seems to be aligned. Fans, yourselves at the board level, owner, and the team are all pulling in the same direction. The big thing with football is, though, one defeat can change a lot. So we just need to be mindful that, no pitfalls. We need to be bang ready from everyone at the club, and everyone still making sure that every game is a cup final and we don't drop the ball.
Awesome. Well, so great having you here, Stephen. Look, for our fans, we tried our best here. We're not media people. We're doing what we can, but I think we got the information now that we needed. So thanks, Stephen. Thanks for your time, and good luck to us on Saturday.
Cheers, man.
Now, welcome to part 2 of the first Wakefield AFC podcast. Tentative name is Falcons Nest at the moment, but we're open for suggestions. And the second part of this podcast, we're talking to Rodrigo. Rodrigo, some of you have met at Wakefield games. He's also part of the board, owner of the club, part owner of the club with me and Andre. It's been a friend for many years, and it has joined Wakefield in 2022, this journey, the season 2022-2023. Welcome, Rodrigo.
Hi, Deca. Hi, everyone.
Hey, so where do we find you at the moment, like pre-holidays there in Brazil?
Yes, well, 1 to 2 weeks to holiday. It's summertime here. It's different from all of you. So while you looking for some hotter weather, I mean, I like when it makes low 20s because I go walking to work. So it's not like in the days when it's 30 degrees or something like that. I know that some of you may envy that, but I would definitely switch it to a milder temperature. But it definitely feels different from being down where you are.
Oh, for sure. Well, my life got a little bit better. I used to be like heavy winter at this time of the year, and now my time is a little mild. That I'm the West Coast, so it's a little bit better. So let me. So for people get to know you, and then we talk a little bit about the club. I think it would be nice for people to know you. We met each other when we worked in finance, when we were working in Wall Street. Became friends, and you're also absolutely passionate about football, and now about Wakefield. Tell me a little bit. What's your routine to watch Wakefield live on Saturday? Like it's lunchtime for you. Are you drinking? Are you cooking? Were you watching Wakefield, or just stressing out in front of the computer? What's your routine to watch Wakefield?
Oh, it varies a lot. Normally here, the matches, depending on summertime zones, and it starts at 11 or noon. So normally I'm watching it with the kids, and sometimes even my girls, they watch it. Like one is 5, the other is 3 years old. They are fully equipped to watch Wakefield. Sometimes when it's like summertime, we watch it in while we're doing the barbecue. So it varies a lot, but it's always with some tension. It depends a lot on the on the phases that we are. There were moments where we were very concerned about Saturday morning. We never knew what would happen, but thankfully, in the last months or something like that, there's always been a reason for us to smile a lot. So Saturdays and the weekends have been much cheerful. Remember, there were phases that when we were to lose a match that we thought we would make it. So until the early hours of Monday, we were very upset. We were very sad, but I'm very.
That's okay.
It looks like that we took a weight out of our backs. That we are in a very good winning streak now, and we are always happy, and it's making our weekends much happier. Of course, when floodlights work, it's much better. But just to make a joke aside, but it's been great. I think it's a
Yeah.
good timing for us to watch it here.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, like, how do you feel about the season, right? Because historically, we had periods, especially last season, when we had good runs, right? We gave last season. There was a moment where we're unbeaten for 13 games. How do you feel? Like, I feel that right now it feels different, even though it's only 7 games. We've been unbeaten in 12, 13 games. But even at that time last season, I never thought that would last too long. I could see some cracks on the way that the team was built, and some fragilities that in the end end up, costing us in the end of the season, or even in the playoffs. This time it feels a little bit different. It feels that we're winning, and we're dominating, and we're winning with authority. How do you feel about the where we are? Obviously, the beginning of the season was absolutely horrendous, but how do you feel about where we are and your level of confidence compared to our last winning run in the middle of last season?
I feel we are in a very good path now. I think that things had been well addressed. I think that the attitude in the field is very positive. I felt before even, I think that there were moments where we were less secure than it, but we were clearly dominating some matches, and sometimes for a silly play like we were receiving a red card, and then we would lose the whole match because of an attitude or uh, of smaller issues that shouldn't happen. But now I think that it's very encouraging to see where we are. But one thing that I have learned is that NCL, it's very tough. I think that the season has lots of ups and downs. And one thing that we have learned is not to celebrate beforehand, right? We know
Mhm.
that there's tough matches ahead of us, and we know how it goes in the playoffs. I mean, I've done trips. I've done like a 24 hours trip to watch a playoff match like that one against Rossington. That was a lesson to never celebrate something that you think that can happen. So I think that even if the season is doing fantastically well, we are in the right path. We love the way we are playing now, but we know that the hard thing is in the end, and everything can be lost in only one match. And we can start the match. Let's say we're playing the semifinals or the finals of the playoffs, and then a player is sent off. I mean, we had matches where the referee sent 3 of our players off, right? So that can happen, and maybe that can destabilize our mentality into the match, and maybe the things that the manager has prepared, they change suddenly. So one match can change the work of 44 rounds, 44 match days during the season. So it's very difficult to keep it up. So I know that this is really the challenge, right? To make in 1 or 2 matches, to make it up for 44 match days really well done.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I was talking to Steven this morning, and I think we're all in the mentality that one game at a time, we need to collect as many points as possible because we obviously dropped too many points in the beginning of the season, and we just need to be sharp and in top form for the playoffs. Like that's why we failed last season. In the end of the day, you have these runs, and you're gonna have bad runs, and then it's. I think this squad is definitely more resilient than the squads from past seasons. So I don't think we're going to have these runs of 3 or 4 games without winning a game like we had last season. But at the same time, all that matters is the playoff. It doesn't matter how strong we get if we finish second, third. Now we don't depend because of the beginning of the season. We need other teams to draw points for us to be champions. So we should, maybe we can still do it if we win everything, they draw points. But worst case scenario, need to get it to the playoffs in a strong position. Now, because we know that the football is just a small part, it's an important part. But in the end of the day, for us, given the stage where we are, this is a small part of the project. How do you feel about Wakefield in general, about the project? How it compares for when you came in? What do you think that needs to be done for next season to strengthen? There's a lot of stuff that we discuss, obviously, training centers, sponsorships, more juniors, more community activities. But how's your relationship with Wakefield as an owner, as a fan, and how does it compare to when you started in 2022?
Well, for me, it's a very exciting journey to be on. I think I've been 4 or 5 times to watch the matches, and I think it's really fantastic to see the evolution that we have had. I think that things in a sportive way, with the resources that we have, I think they are doing really great. I think that we finally see things can work properly on that field. On other fields, we face some, I would say, some challenges that are to be part of the community in a fuller way. Let's say we felt a bit that the attendance is not as high as it was at Trinity. We feel it's normal because it's not that central. But for me personally, the atmosphere at Featherstone, it pleases me much more. I think it feels really an English stadium. For me, it's very beautiful, and I like it a lot. But we feel that there's a way. I feel there's a way for the community to join more in terms of attendance. Of maybe we would like to be more a part of the community in terms of getting companies and local partners to go together with us. And I think that this is a part of the process. I think that may organically grow. Of course, that to keep the team in a good shape, it would be great if that process would be quicker, because if it's not, then it becomes more burdensome financially. But I think that if you put it all together, I think that the project it's made for, like, depending, of course, that you cannot say a time frame for that, but I think that growing, stepping up in the levels of English football, I think that it's natural that we bring more people from the community, from more interest from companies to be part of the project. I think that's what I see happening from now, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that the social media and the work that has been done over the last 3 or 4 months have been fantastic. It's helping out a lot on that. Obviously, attendance is something that we need to address. But I agree with you. I think it's a much better place in terms of organization compared to where we were when we started. Now, to close things out, you mentioned your trips to Wakefield, right? So you are no doubt about it. No one has traveled more in a shorter period of time to go watch Wakefield. What do you? It's been 4 or 5. Which one was the worst? I remember one. I don't remember which game was it. I don't know if it was Rosington semifinal. If it was Worsbro at Trinity. There was 48 hours. And remind me, what was the journey to get Wakefield to watch a Wakefield game? Remind me again. It's kind of crazy. I remember that story.
It's a bit crazy because it doesn't even have a standard, right? The first one was, I don't know if you remember the first one. The first one we had a book matched. We were to see a match, and then the match was cancelled.
Oh yeah.
And then what happened is this:
Shit.
I went to Frickley to watch a friendly match at Frickley. So I came from São Paulo
Sure.
to London, and then I took. I don't know if it was. I think it was to London. No, it was not to London. It was to Lisbon, and then Lisbon to Manchester, and then the flight was a bit delayed. So I took a car. It was then, I think, M62 that I was really speeding up to see the match, and I
remember you arrived in the beginning, right? So I remember
before a friendly match started.
Remember, there was it was rainy. I think it was Kieran Cissay's first friendly from the club. Remember that some players took pictures. Was Owen Durant, Kieran Cissay, and someone else that was signed at that point. I don't know if it was Lewis. I think it was Lewis. So then we had a friendly against Freakley, which we lost and was raining. So just to put it in context, right? When you say a flight to Lisbon, from where you live, a flight to Lisbon, it's 10 hours. Then you wait in the airport. Then there's another 3 to Manchester, and then a 2-hour drive. With the wait times, it's 20 hours almost to get to Wakefield, but then watch a game and leave the day after, right?
Yeah, maybe it's more travel time than staying time in Wakefield.
For sure.
But
I have no doubt about it.
I mean, this was, in all the times it was really, for me, it was fun, although it was really a very long way. But there was even that one in Rosington. I think that was a cool one. Since we were playing Doncaster, I stayed in Nottingham,
Okay.
which is closer to London. So I took the flight to London. That was a very cool one, although it was very disappointing because I feel that match we were very close to winning. We had a very bad luck with the goalkeeper in the beginning of the match. Their goal was really out of luck. It was not a very well deserved goal.
No, the goal was just happened because, with all due respect to Harry's a great guy, but he was a goalkeeper coach. So remember that game? We lost the goalkeeper, the backup on Thursday's practice. Then said, okay, so we go on Sunday with Harry. What are the odds you're going to lose 2 goalkeepers in 48 hours? Yeah. 5 minutes into the game, he gets injured.
It's really,
that game is the only one that I have regrets. Like, I remember that also Gabe left Jaden in the bench for 82 minutes or 80 minutes. Like, that still kills me. Like, that one I would like to play again. The Shirebrook last season, honestly, we played that game 10 times, we lose 9.5. But the Rosington one was horrible.
Was painful.
It was painful. That one
was really painful. And we miss a goal that the ball goes to the, I don't know, it was close. I think it was Lewis.
Was Lewis crossed
70
to Jade? No, Lewis crossed to Jake. It was almost harder if you wanted to hit the post. It was one of those where he was under the net. Like, if you wanted to miss it, you would. It was one of those things. It was not meant to be. Like, it was not. There was a little bit of our fault on not playing Jaden, but that was a tough one, and that was what the hardest, right? And your last one was what? Roseboro at home at Trinity
Wasbrook.
last
Yes.
February, right? Okay. And when is the
I
next
think
one?
so. Yeah, we started. The other one, I saw the first match at Hallam with against Hallam.
Yeah, the friendly.
I was in Greece going back to Brazil, but I stopped in Wakefield for
There you go.
that was, I think, like 22 hours, I think.
That's tough. That is tough. That is tough. Well, there you go. And when is the next one? You're joining for the end of the season, right? March. We're doing the March 20. Are you coming in the end of March?
I have booked the tickets to end of March, and then I have the tickets for the playoff, mainly for the final. And I don't know and I have even booked a ticket for the week thereafter, because I don't know if it will be as rainy as it was last season. So we'll have many matches that will be postponed. So I have made the hedge myself. For me, it's not that straightforward, because flights from Brazil to England, they are sometimes very expensive if you book close to the date. So I try to book like many months before, so it becomes a bit affordable.
Yeah, no, that's one that I always do talking to Rodrigo about is we book multiple trips because it gets so expensive if you try to do a last minute. The problem is that the league is not reliable. You think you come into a game, the games get canceled, this season gets delayed, they push back by a couple weeks. Well, anyway, Rodrigo, thanks so much for joining. We'll see you in Wakefield in March. We're really excited about the season. Really excited to be to have you part of the journey. And that concludes the first episode of, let's call it for now, the Falcons Nest. I hope we have a better host for the next episode than me, but that's gonna do it for this time. Thanks again for Capricorn Projects for supporting Wakefield and sponsoring the podcast. And see you guys again soon.